What do you feel is the marrying between the electronics and the wood in an electric instrument? What do you find is the wood obviously in your mind is the number one creator of tone?
Well, whether it's an electric instrument or not, it's first and foremost an acoustic instrument.
Correct.
So my idea is that the electronics be as transparent as possible to let the wood tone show. So the pickups and electronics in every bass I make are essentially the same. The only differences would be in pickups, the coil size, because it'd be a different size coil for a 4, 5, 6, or 7 string. The only reason all these basses sound different is because they're different wood combinations.
Right.
The only variable in the whole thing is how the wood makes the strings vibrate through the magnetic field.
Right.
And the mass of the wood. That changes the vibration pattern. So a mahogany bass that even though it has the same mass as an ash bass, will sound totally different because the strings make a different pattern through the magnetic field of the pickup. Everything else is equal. That's the only variable in what produces the sounds. I mean, when I started building acoustic guitars. And so that was my first bit of training, was building acoustic instruments. And then I applied what I thought I knew at the time to electric instruments.
Correct.
And just have chosen to make every instrument acoustic no matter what it is. Some builders try to make the wooden platform as neutral as possible so the electronics do the speaking. I did an article years ago for Bass Player, and when I interviewed the guys at Alembic, their whole idea was to make a completely neutral platform out of the bass.
Correct.
And then let their sort of magical electronics create the voice.
Right.
I just do it the opposite way.
You had been working on a product as we had come in. Why don't we take a look and see what you were doing on that?
Oh, I'm just doing the preliminary put together, basically. What I usually do is actually bolt the instrument together before we finish it. That way I can set the bridge and make sure the neck is angled the right way and aimed in the right direction, which sounds kind of silly, but these are handmade and all this stuff is extremely variable.
Sure.
So I bolt the neck on and then I align the bridge, plant the bridge, make sure the neck is angled the right way.
Correct.
And then make a truss rod cover to fit, because if the neck isn't angled right, truss rod cover will be, you know. And so we do all this stuff first so that when the instrument is completely finished, putting it together is just bolting the parts together, not having to mess up the finish and realign stuff. And
this particular wood that we're looking at on the body of this bass and also the fretboard is what?
Yeah, this is a flamed redwood top with a mahogany back, African mahogany. The top is, the fingerboard is Rose of the Mountain, which is not a true rosewood. It's a South American hardwood that's about the density of ebony.
Okay.
It's a little more wooden sounding than ebony. Ebony is very quick and snappy. Rose of the Mountain is a little warmer.
Okay.
So Chris just finished leveling the board and putting the lines in it and dotting it, because this bass, as it turns out, actually has to be done relatively quickly. Generally only put enough bolts in it while it's in this process to make sure that it's stable. At this point I'm just lining the neck up on the center of the body. The neck pocket, the pickups and all that stuff are aligned properly to begin with, but since everything's hand carved, things change.
Yes.
And once that's done, then everything has to be put together and lined up. So this is a 35-inch scale bass. We add a little bit for the front of the bridge plate. And this will be the front edge of the bridge. I use hip shot bridges, and usually I use an aluminum tray because I like the brightness that aluminum imparts.
Okay.
But I use old bridges to do this, not new stock, because I beat them up. But the screw, when you push the screw in, it bends the bottom tray a little bit, so you have to pound it out.